Yes, I'm Thomas Cousins. I was on the independent traditional route PhD programme in educational research. I'm a primary school teacher, so as a primary school teacher graduated in 2014, went part-time to do the PhD course and back into teaching. Well, it was the department itself, the having that community almost of researchers next door to you, popping in, how you doing, I need to bounce a few ideas off you, and also just research in general. So being able to pursue a line of inquiry that I wanted to do, not something that was dictated as it would be, for example, on undergraduate. So being able to do something that's personal to me, something that I'm interested in, and again the freedom to just explore and think of something new and challenging yourself. Again, the people in the department, always like an open door policy. If you've got any questions, got any issues, please come in. And that was with the staff and as well with the fellow students, having a section of rooms to go to with collaborative, pre-COVID obviously, and sharing offices with again fellow students, but people are on different routes to you. They're not necessarily in the same year start, or they're not doing quite the same methodology or the same approach you're doing. So just a great way to bounce ideas off everybody, and that real feeling of being in academia and being an academic, and just anything unlike what had come previously. It was a totally new, different level of challenge, and because of that you are met with support thereafter. It was the first year actually. At the end of the first year, the department does a conference, a student conference, and there was academics from abroad came over, some quite big names, some that I was familiar with myself, and we had to present something. And at that point in the beginning and end of the first year, my ideas weren't solid at the moment. Things were being developed. I wasn't 100% there, confident in what my idea was going to be. So I presented my pilot study as a way to initiate conversation. And obviously I'm a primary school teacher, so I was quite used to standing in front of crowds, but this is something completely different. And it was in a room like this, nice and open, presenting, very nervous. And we got to the end, and everybody else was presenting findings. I got to the end and I was thinking, I've missed the point here. They're going to be really upset with me. I'm going to miss the point. And at the end, a few of the academics came forward and gave me praise, and it was a really shocking moment, memorable because I wasn't expecting that at that point. And they gave me some really valuable insight about where I might be able to take my research, and it was just one of those moments where you feel like, oh, this is real. This is not just I am doing a PhD. This is research. I am in the midst of it, and it was just one of those fulfilling moments where you just couldn't believe you were finally here after all these years of trying to get here, and you got these academics who you respect, and the names are big, and they're sat there just offering you genuine feedback, and all the kind of insecurities, I suppose, and should I be here, should I not be here, were wiped away clean that day. And it was just really setting me up for the remainder of the time on the PhD course. So my research project was looking at primary school, obviously with my job, and I was looking at, it originally started out as male primary school teachers in kind of a general focus, the lack of, is there enough, are there too many, and all the bits about male in primary schools. And as it went on, it developed into more looking at males progressing, males moving through primary school, how fast they can do that. There's this rhetoric that men go from start to head teacher in 5 years, and I'd not seen that. So my project was looking at, well, is there any, for one, is there any progression, and secondly, how is that formed? What does it look like? It developed quite a lot along the way, but it ended up looking specifically at something I coined called micro-promotions. So the small, very small steps that men take within primary school that allow them to progress faster than women. And actually, through that research project, I found out that it wasn't just men that take these. Majority of men take them because of maternity leave, child illnesses, and expectations on women that they have to be the ones to look after a sick child. And it turns out that everybody's taking these micro promotions. It was just that men seem to get there faster, and the real finding was that it was proportionally faster and by proportionally, I nailed it down to about 6 to 9 months faster than their female counterparts. So it was from all these rhetoric in the news and media about this big thing, I found that it was a very small and quite a minute thing. And also within that, I coined a new phrase, or I like to think I coined a new phrase, something called there's an existing one called the glass escalator, quite a famous analogy, metaphor, and I developed that to more of a travelator, like an airport, a flat thing, and it takes you a little bit faster, but actually it's not much faster than walking. So I like to think I coined 2 new phrases and such. Well, that was a big part of the writing up on the thesis and the final chapter. Mainly, I suppose it's anybody interested in teaching. Pre-teaching, I would say, would be a great one. Again, I was thinking back to when I was getting into teaching, one of the main grabs for teaching was that within 5 years I could be a head teacher. And that was a real oh, I'm going to use this to my advantage. So I suppose it's for teachers pre-training, to stop them just going in on the expectation that they're going to progress fast just because they're male. Also, current educators, this idea that management are aware of these micro-promotions, and these micro-promotions actually do work. For example, staying a little bit later, helping out here, I'll do this little bit for you, I'll do that little bit for you. It's noticed. People have been proactive in their career, and I think a lot of teaching, especially in primary school, is around, we get the job done, we go home. They're only kids, it doesn't really matter. But actually, obviously it's much more than that. It's education, it's vast and it's broad. So just seeing that can help you in your career, but also if everybody was doing it, then it would negate any micro-promotions. It would stop anybody being able to promote fast if everybody was doing it together. And then I suppose, I'm going from the thesis here, policymakers as well, making routes in primary, especially because there's not many routes up. There's one direct route. You start from the bottom, you work up to head. There's no split, there's no direct, there's no other routes, there's just one route. So having policymakers thinking about, well, this route is obviously benefiting men to a degree. Women are also benefiting, but how can we make it a little bit more flat? How can we make the structure a bit more flat and have many more opportunities to reach this top, not just through doing jobs, just through being a male, just through being there a little bit more than your colleague. So again, it was a nice broad spectrum on who it could impact. Well, having already been, it's an odd one. In primary education, the PhD doesn't, it's nothing, as awful as it sounds. It's not valued, it's valued, but it's not seen as anything. You start at the bottom. So because I was in teaching for a year, and I decided I want to do a PhD, so I went part-time. So obviously that impacted my career in terms of time in the career. So effectively, even 7 years into teaching now, I'm only in my 2.5 year in actual teaching full-time, thank you pandemic. So in that sense, it's really hampered me. It's actually hampered me doing a PhD in education. But what it offers me is now that I got the years building back up, I'm one of the only ones in the entire school who's got a research background. And now the DFE, Ofsted are really big into this research focus, teacher-led research focus, which puts me in a fantastic opportunity to be, oh, you've got a PhD, you know about research, lead this. So there's routes for me to move towards a more research-based teaching position within the school, and therefore the trust. So career-wise, it seemed a bit of a dampener at the beginning, but actually now it's starting to come forth, and I'm having a lot more opportunities for that. Personally, this PhD was always just for me. It was never meant for career-led. I always wanted a PhD, just because I wanted it since I was 10. So that was my goal to get it. So it doesn't offer anything personally except fulfillment. And I mean, outside of that, while doing the PhD, I met my wife, my current wife, my only wife. I met my wife. So personally, the PhD was a fantastic thing. So it fulfilled my dream of getting a PhD. It's helped with my career, and I found my wife. So all happy.